It is reading these words. It is commenting on them. It is probably already forming an opinion about where this is going. You have lived with this voice your entire life. It feels like the most intimate, personal thing about you. It feels like you. But neuroscience has a deeply unsettling answer to a question most people never think to ask. Who is actually speaking? Psychologists call it inner speech, the internal monologue that runs constantly in the background of your conscious experience. For most people, it never stops. It narrates your day. It rehearses conversations. It criticizes your decisions. It tells you what you should have said 3 hours ago. For decades, scientists assumed this voice was simply you, thinking out loud inside your own head, a direct expression of your conscious mind. That assumption is wrong. Research over the past 30 years has revealed that inner speech is not a single, unified process. It is the result of multiple overlapping systems in the brain, systems that operate largely outside your awareness and often work against each other. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Marcus Rachel at Washington University made a discovery that nobody expected. While scanning participants' brains during rest, when they were doing nothing, just lying still, he noticed something strange. Certain regions of the brain were not going as quiet. They were becoming more active. This network of regions is now called the default mode network. It activates when you are not focused on the outside world, when you daydream, when you remember the past or imagine the future, when you think about yourself or other people. And it is the primary source of your inner voice, the voice you identify as you, the one narrating your experience right now, is largely generated by a system that runs automatically, without your instruction, and often without your awareness. Here is where it becomes stranger. Psychologist Charles Fernyhough at Durham University has spent years studying the inner voice. His research shows that inner speech is not one voice. It is often multiple perspectives in dialogue with each other. When you are weighing a decision, you are not just thinking. You are hosting a conversation between different parts of yourself. Parts that have different priorities, different fears, different desires. One part wants to take the risk. Another part urges caution. A third part judges both of them. None of these parts is more you than the others. They are all generated by the same brain. But they often disagree. And the voice that wins is not always the wisest one. It is usually the loudest one. There is a phenomenon that makes this even more concrete. In studies using a technique called transcranial magnetic stimulation, where researchers temporarily disrupt specific brain regions, participants sometimes report that their inner voice suddenly feels foreign, like it belongs to someone else. The voice is still there. The words are still forming, but the sense of ownership disappears. This tells us something critical. The feeling that the inner voice is yours, that sense of ownership, is itself generated by a separate brain process. It is not automatic, it is added on top. When that process is disrupted, the voice continues, but it no longer feels like you. This connects directly to a condition called thought insertion, experienced by some people with psychosis. In thought insertion, a person hears thoughts in their mind, but does not experience them as their own. They feel as though the thoughts are being placed there by an outside force. For a long time, this was viewed purely as a symptom of mental illness, a breakdown of normal functioning. But research now suggests that what breaks down in thought insertion is not the generation of thoughts. It is the mechanism that labels thoughts as mine. That labeling mechanism exists in all of us, and it is working right now, quietly tagging every thought that arises as yours. But it is a mechanism. It can be studied. It can be disrupted. And its existence means that the ownership you feel over your inner voice is not a fundamental truth. It is a process. Meditation traditions have pointed to this for thousands of years. The central insight of mindfulness practice is not relaxation. It is the observation that thoughts arise on their own, and that the self who seems to be thinking them is itself a construction. When experienced meditators describe their practice, they consistently report the same thing. At a certain point, you stop identifying with the voice. You begin to watch it instead. The voice continues. But you are no longer convinced that you are the voice. Modern neuroscience did not discover this, but it has now confirmed it through brain imaging, lesion studies, and clinical research. The voice in your head is a process. So what do you do with this? Runs. The first thing, it is not the same thing to notice the voice without immediately believing it. The inner voice is not neutral. It is shaped by anxiety, by past experiences, by the particular state your brain is in at any given moment. When it tells you that you are not good enough, that something will go wrong, that people are judging you, it is not reporting facts. It is generating predictions based on patterns. You do not have to argue with the voice. You do not have to silence it. But you do not have to automatically treat it as truth. The second thing is to recognize that the silence between thoughts is also you. Perhaps more fundamentally you than the voice itself. The voice in your head has been with you since you were a child. It has narrated your failures and your victories. It has kept you up at night. It has told you who you are. But it is not you. It is something your brain produces, automatically, constantly, and largely without your control. Understanding this does not make the voice disappear, but it creates a distance between you and it. And in that distance, something important becomes possible. You stop being the voice, and you start watching it instead. Mystic Matrix. Science-based exploration of the human mind. Subscribe for more.